questions regarding the month of Ramadan, and our Islamic scholar has been answering such questions. Do join us with your questions so our Islamic scholar can continue to shed light on the questions that you would like to share with him. So then we'll move on to another question regarding the dead body of a Muslim. Can it be buried in a Christian cemetery or a non-Muslim cemetery? When you know, if you don't have any Muslim designated cemetery in your town or in your city.
Muslim dead body, a dead body of a Muslim must be buried in a Muslim cemetery. It is not permissible in Islam to bury a Muslim in any graveyard which does not belong to Muslims. Under no circumstance such burial can be permitted in Islam.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Sayyidina,
nowadays,
yes,
many people in the UK and other countries, they send the dead body to the hometown or the place of the birth, which usually costs a lot of money, and many families have to borrow and take burden and hardships to transfer the dead bodies. Is it obligatory in Islam to send the dead body to the town or village of birth? The answer is no, it is not obligatory. Sometimes it can be wrong. How? When there is no money and the family go and face hardships and they have to sell or have to strive. I mean, either they sell their valuables or borrow or strive. So it is not always good to do that. It is not encouraged at all. The only transfer which is good is to transfer the dead body to be buried in a holy place like Najaf, Karbala, Mashhad, Qom. But other places are like any earth. The earth is same. The soil in UK and soil in any other part of the world is the same. This is number one. And also we have got authentic narrations, hadith, that Allah has got specialized angels who transfer the dead bodies from the graveyards. They transfer the dead body from this graveyard to another graveyard according to the good deeds or bad deeds of the person. So there are what is called al-malaikatun naqala, the angels who transfer. They transfer the dead body. So you find a person who was buried in the east, angels remove him and put him in the west, in a place where he is entitled to. And there are many incidents that people were buried somewhere and then found somewhere else, depending on their deeds and faith. So don't worry, your beloved who passed away, if he is entitled to be buried in a better place, the angels will do that without you paying money or borrowing and taking all the headache and the trouble and the expense. Allah has created specialized angels only for transferring the dead bodies to their appropriate places.
Thank you very much indeed, Syed. Now, Syed, now, next question. If someone is not mentally fit, severely depressed, is unable to fast, what is the ruling? Does he or she have to pay kafara or qadha?
A person who is mentally unwell, is he obliged to fast or not? The answer: those who are mentally unwell are not one type. There are many, many types. If his condition does not allow him to fast, means if he fasts, his condition worsens, or it goes longer than the usual, then it is not obligatory on such patient to fast, because fasting is not wajib if fasting initiates illness or worsens an existing condition or prolongs an existing condition. Any of these three options, then fasting is not obligatory. But some people who have got depression, but fasting does not have anything to do with their illness. I mean, they can fast easily and simply without any difficulty. So we can't say that because of the depression, you don't fast. No, because you are able to fast with your depression, then you must fast. So it depends on the case itself. We don't say that every person who is unwell should not fast. No. Many people who are unwell, but their illness has nothing to do with fasting at all. Means if they fast or don't fast, it is the same. Such person who is not well, but fasting does not have any bad result on them, they must fast. And a person who is unwell and fasting can make him worse, then he is permitted not to fast.
Thank you very much indeed. Senna, unfortunately, there are many that will not fast due to no valid reason. The only reason they will go, it is difficult, long hours, etc. Now, many unfortunately do end up not fasting because they think it's just difficult. That's the only excuse they have. Can you tell me what is the punishment or what is the kafara for missing even one day of wajib fast? And the excuse is just, it is difficult.
One of the names of fasting is sabr. Sabr. Allah says in the Quran, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Take the help of sabr and salat. Many of the scholars wrote that sabr here is fasting. Fasting teaches sabr. Fasting teaches us how to be patient, how to tolerate, how to self-control, how to have self-discipline, to control over our desires, not to eat, not to drink when we are hungry and thirsty, but only for the sake of Allah. And to purify ourselves, we refrain from eating and drinking just for the sake of Allah. So those who don't fast just because they think that is difficult, though it is not difficult at all. But they should keep in mind that they are committing a major sin, and they must keep qada for the day and kafara with the sinful act. The kafara is fasting 2 months for every 1 day. Every 1 day, the kafara of 1 day, deliberately not fasting, is fasting 2 months, or feeding 60 poor persons. That is with the qada and with the sinful act. Yes, please.
So 2 months or 60 poor people?
Yeah, for every day.
Okay.
With the sinful act, which is very great punishment. It needs istighfar continuously. So it is not a joke at all. It is very dangerous not to fast in the month of Ramadan for those who are able to fast.
Thank you very much indeed, Syed, for making that clear. And I'm sure many of us who are listening will take this on board before the month of Ramadan starts. Thank you very much indeed. Syed, next question is that regarding if an innocent person is oppressed and brutally victimized over an extended period of time, such that a victim develops feeling of grudge towards the oppressor, in that situation, is the victim still Islamically bound to let go of that grudge? And will Allah punish or dislike such a victim for holding a grudge against the oppressor? Will Allah accept the praise and good deeds of such a victim who has not let go of the grudge he holds against the oppressor?
The oppressor is an oppressor. The oppressed having bad feeling towards the oppressor is something also is usual. But the oppressed is not allowed to backbite or put false allegation or to go beyond the limits. Yes, he is allowed to speak out about the pressure that he is under, about the injustice done to him. As Allah in Quran says, لا يحب الله الجهر بالسوء من القول إلا من ظلم. Allah does not like disclosing the bad, but only for the person who has been victimized. So he is allowed to say that I'm being victimized in this way, but not beyond that. The good believer should always keep his heart clean and pure from bad feelings. But we cannot say that those who are doing injustice should take easily. No, it is not easy at all. As we have got in the hadith, that hurting the heart, hurting the feeling of one believer is more dangerous than breaking down the whole Kaaba into ruins. You see how great the Kaaba is. Imam said, in fact, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam was sitting in front of the Kaaba and telling people about the greatness of Kaaba. Then he said, La hadmul Ka'bati hajaran hajara ahwanu ala Allahi min idha'i qalbi al-mu'min. With all the greatness of Kaaba, hurting the feeling of any believer is more dangerous than breaking down and destructing and demolishing the Kaaba into ruins. So it is more than compulsory that the Muslim should keep himself completely away from any type of injustice. Any type. A husband who is doing injustice on his wife, a wife who is doing injustice on her children or husband, or a mother-in-law who is doing injustice on any other family member, any human being, a neighbor who is doing injustice on his neighbor. Anyone who does injustice should think twice and thrice and more, thinking about the result of it, because the hadith says, الظلم ظلمات يوم القيامة. Injustice is the result of injustice is dark future in the day of resurrection.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Say that, is it permissible or is it makruh or even haram to buy toys for your children that are of dogs and pigs and, you know, something that is not allowed in Islam, basically, but toys in the form or shape of toys for your children?
It is not haram to buy toys in the shape of animals. But according to many of our scholars, keeping such toys in the shape of animals, keeping them at home, is not good for the home, not good for the safety of the children or the people in the home. But it is not haram. It is advisable to avoid it. Or if you have it, then after the children play, keep it in the garden, away from your home. Yes, please.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, question regarding, is legal hunting the one in which a hunter pays the locals to hunt a specific animal type for a title competition and later on keeps the head of the animal as trophy or decoration permissible?
Hunting is sometimes permissible and sometimes not permissible. When it is permissible and when it is not permissible. When you hunt an animal and utilize its flesh, its meat, either you or feed others or sell it, it becomes permissible. But those who hunt only for the sake of hunting, they don't utilize the meat of the animal that they hunt. They hunt it and throw it away. That is haram. That is haram because Allah does not allow people to play with the lives of animals that Allah created. Allah did not create animals to be killed for no reason, only for amusement. So I don't speak about the legal counsel permission. No, I say that whether you have permission or you don't have permission, of course, if you don't have permission, you should not hunt at all because you should not break the law of the land. But even if you have permission to hunt, if you hunt and eat or feed or sell the animal that you hunt, then it is okay. But after making it halal, if you make it halal, then cut the head and keep it in somewhere at home. That also is permissible, as far as you are utilizing the meat of the animal. If not, then it is not permissible. And I want to remind that those who go for hunting and don't utilize the meat of the animals, their traveling is sinful. Means when they travel, it is haram, and their salah will not be qasr. And if they travel during the month of Ramadan, they must fast, because the traveling is sinful travel, as far as their intention is to kill, to hunt without any benefit from hunting the animals.
Thank you very much indeed. So now back to question regarding month of Ramadan. If you have two houses in a country, but they are like maybe 100 miles apart from each other, both of the houses are residential houses, both of the houses are utilized, you live in both of those houses, and it's like you are two cities, both of the cities that you live in as a normal. Can you travel between those cities and still carry on fasting? When you know your normal routine is 1 week you stay in one house, the other week you stay in a, but both of them are your houses, what do you do in that in an instance like that?
In the incident that you are being considered as a resident in both places, then in both places your salah will be full and you must fast.
Okay.
Your salah is full and you must fast during the month of Ramadan if you are living in these two places that people of the area consider you as a resident in that place, even if you are 1 week here and 1 week there, or 10 days here and 10 days there, or 2 days here and 3 days there. But the people take you as a resident in that area, so you are a resident in that area.
And Sayyidina, if your job, if you do a job that requires you to be traveling as part of your job, like going to from city to city, this is your normal routine job 5 days a week, can you continue, is it allowed to fast, or do you not fast?
Those who travel, or their job is in traveling, like drivers, like sailors, like the airplane crew, cabin crew, like delivery people, those who work in traveling, it depends how many days per month they travel for work. If they travel in every month at least 10 days, then during traveling, the work that they do during traveling, they must fast, because that is exception for those who work in traveling. If it is 10 days minimum per month, or say every week 3 days, 3 days per week, or 10 days per month, that is the minimum for those who travel, and during travel they work, so they must fast during travel. They are called kathir safar, means frequent traveler. And the frequent traveler, in that, I don't speak about the terminology of the airlines. No, I speak about the terminology of Sharia, of Islam. Kathir safar is the person who travels for work at least 10 days per month, or 3 days per weak, then he must fast during such traveling. And his salah also should remain full.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, assalamu alaikum. Is there any sawab? Is there any sawab to eat food using your hand rather than a spoon?
Yes, we have got very clear evidence in authentic narrations that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his holy progeny, and all the infallible imams, they used to eat using spoon and fork or whatever, hands. But it is recommended to wash your hand before eating. Recommended to wash both hands before eating. And when you wash both of your hands before eating, don't wipe them. Keep them wet. But after you finish your meal, it is recommended to wash again and wipe. In the narration that Imam Raza alayhi salam, Ali al-Ridha alayhi salam, he washed his hands before eating, then someone offered him napkin, towel, to dry his hands. Imam replied in the narration, Minhu ghasalna, means I wash my hands from such things. So after Imam washed his hand before eating, he did not wipe. But when you finish eating, it is recommended to wash your hands and wipe after that.
Thank you very much.
So it is recommended to eat directly with your hand, not with spoon.
Thank you very much. Say that in Dua Ahad, at the end, we say 3 times Al-Ajal by patting on our right. What is the significance of this?
That is a call seeking help from the Imam. Al-Ajal, Al-Ajal, Ya Mawlai, Ya Sahib al-Zaman. That means that we are eagerly waiting for you, O our Imam. That is a practical evidence which shows that we are eagerly waiting for the reappearance of the Imam as soon as possible. That's what we say Al-Ajal, Al-Ajal means as soon as possible. As soon as possible, we wait to see our Imam as soon as possible.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, question, what are the best deeds I can perform to help me the most in the hereafter?
What are the best deeds which can help us the most in the hereafter? Very good question. Very good question, which is important for everyone from us to focus on. The best deeds which will help us in the hereafter. Number 1, implementing all the obligatories. Everything obligatory, all the prayers, fasting, khums, zakat, amr al-ma'roof, nahi al-munkar, every hajj, jihad, every obligatory, to perform all the obligatories on time without any delay. Number 1. Number 2, avoiding any sinful act as much as possible. Even if people do it easily, but people are unaware or they don't care what will happen tomorrow. We who claim to be and wish to be real followers of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon him and them, need to avoid any type of sinful act, no matter whether it is big or small. Any haram is forbidden for us. So the obligatory is number one. Number two, to avoid the forbidden acts completely. Number three, being in constant touch with the Imam of our time and always trying to serve him in every possible way. Serving him by serving his followers, by serving the people, by doing good, by spreading his message, by doing anything which he likes us to do. To be humble and sincere and obedient servant of Imam of your time, Al-Mahdi, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Number four, to do maximum you can do to be very nice to your parents. Your parents, whether they are alive or dead, be very nice to them. Number three, your relatives, those who are related to you. Do good to them, be in touch with them, help them, send them gifts. Do whatever you can to make them happy. These 5 steps. In general, if you want to be happy in the day of judgment, try to make maximum number of people here in this life happy. The happiness that you cause for good servants of Allah will make you happy when you are in the day of resurrection. The happiest people there are those who made the believers and the orphans and the needy and the parents and the relatives happy as much as they can.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, next question. Assalamu alaikum. Are we allowed to give charity to non-Shias and non-Muslim charities?
Are we allowed to give charity money to non-Shia or non-Muslim charities? In principle, giving help, sadaqah, helping any human being is good. Even not human being, any animal in need. If you see an animal, hungry animal, thirsty animal, and you give food or water to an animal, that is an act of virtue and you will get rewarded. You will get reward. Giving your money to charities who are not following Ahlul Bayt, be sure they should not use it in propaganda against Ahlul Bayt. Because some so-called Muslim charities are promoting extremism, like the extreme Wahhabism, those who promote the ideas of Ibn Taymiyyah. Many so-called Muslim charities in Europe, in UK, they publish the books of Ibn Taymiyyah. And you find the books of Ibn Taymiyyah distributed among people by such charities. Helping them will amount to helping wrong because they are spending extremism, spending money to spread hatred among people, because the extreme Wahhabis and Al-Qaeda and ISIS and Taliban and so on, they are spreading among Muslims that this is kafir and this not kafir and this mushrik and not mushrik. This is against the teachings of Islam. So don't give the charity money to people who can misuse it. If you are sure that they give it only to the poor people who are innocent, yes, that is good. Same also giving the charity to non-Muslim organizations. If they are helping the needy and poor, good, why not? Very good. But be careful from those who spread hatred or those who misuse the money for political reasons or any other reason which is away from helping the poor and needy.
Thank you very much indeed, Syed. That brings us to the end of our show this evening. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank all those who have called in with the questions. And Syed, inshallah, next week, obviously the month of Ramadan begins. Just finally, if you like to finish off with just one or two sentences, Sayyidina.
I would like to recite a dua. Please recite with me. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma in kunta lam taghfir lana fima mada min shahri شعبان فاغفر لنا فيما بقي منه. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. May Allah grant all of you His blessings and forgiveness and keep all of you and all of us with the best believers who will be granted the status of being guests of Allah